Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Q&A for In White Places. We hope you enjoyed the film, and remember that it's up for the Audience Award, so make sure to rate all the films after you've watched.
Rate it!
Yeah.
Please!
Before we jump in here, we want to thank our major sponsors, BHE, American General Media, and KSBY. And this film in particular is sponsored by SLO County Brothers. Shout out to SLO County Brothers. And you might recognize our next guest from our only guest from 30 Rock, or the current NBC series Connecting. We have writer, director, and star of In White Places, Keith Powell. Yay! And
Hello.
So, as we discussed, I'm joining you from the very lovely and also the very white place of San Luis Obispo, California. And so one of the reasons I was happy to select this film for our short film Big Stories program was because I thought it was very relatable especially for Black folks in our community. And it was also very funny. So I'm going to assume you have some experiences with being in white places, and so I want to know how your experiences shaped the film.
Well, I've been in white places all my life. You know, I grew up in well, I grew up in Northern California and Wilmington, Delaware, which is two on opposite sides of the country, but remarkably in very central, very white places. And every school I ever went to was majority white, and so I've always been looked at as kind of another. The film was inspired by a move that I made. My family and I lived in the Hollywood Hills, and we moved. We sold that house and bought a house in Pasadena. And within the first month of me moving into that house on my street in Pasadena, it's a very beautiful, lovely tree-lined street. The neighbor to the right of me accused my wife of breaking into their car, and the neighbor to the left of me called the cops on me because I was standing outside on the street for too long. I was shooting Connecting, actually, and so I was holding a cell phone up, and but I stood out there, waiting for takes and things, and I was just standing there too long holding a phone. They thought I was casing the neighborhood. So so I made this short film as a
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm just going to ask what I want to ask. Let's talk about Chester's injuries. Was there symbolism, or can you tell us how he got there?
I always wanted it to be ambiguous. I wanted, with short films, I feel like it's important for an audience to do most of the work in terms of putting its plot together. If people at SLO have seen any of my other work over the years, especially in the short films that have played at SLO, I leave out crucial plot points. And I do that because I think that in short films, you want an audience to think about it long after they've left. And the way to do that is to kind of not entirely give you all the information. I wanted it to be ambiguous, whether Chester was, whether Chester's real name was Chester, whether Chester really belonged in that house, and basically how he got the scars that he got. I think that that's kind of the fun of the short.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed the first time, and especially the second time I watched, some of the art in the house. Mm-hmm. So I assume that was intentional.
Yeah. Ironically enough, my wife painted some of that art.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my wife's a visual artist as well as a performer. Um, but um, but you know, the art in that house was a question of, is it cultural appropriation, or is it ties back to slavery? Is it wanting to um, claim your ancestors? There's a lot kind of to that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What surprised you about working on the film?
Um, what I when doing that monologue, the conversations that I always had with my creative team was that the monologue at the end needed to be done out of anger. And what surprised me so much in the performing of it is just how much vulnerability came out of me in the middle of it, and how much uh, weariness um, I felt the character had, or I had, when I was performing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of, it was a shock to me, because you know, you set up Chester being such an agreeable, likable, mild-mannered person, and the idea is that at the very end, when his you know, the property is challenged, he gets super angry. And I didn't realize that in the middle of that anger, I, as a Black person, um, as a performer, as the person who embodied that character, would feel so hurt.
Mm, yeah. It was it was satisfying to watch when, as a Black person as well, him sort of unleash on them. And there was the question of, okay, whose house is it?
His
We're
house is
trying to figure it out. And I
yeah,
was,
yeah.
but then I kind of got after the monologue that regardless of whose house it is, he's making this statement and this uh, reclaiming of the land in a way, and sort of speaking for every Black person who's ever been questioned.
Yeah.
Um,
Because and that's, for me, the moral of that story is, it doesn't matter whose house it is. He has earned the right for that house. And um and it might have been a house that he bought. It might have been a house that he took over. But there's something about the way that this world exists, that that house is his. And I really believe that um, um, we as a country, like just Black people in America, who have really sacrificed so much of themselves to achieve something. Um, and um, and so often Black people have been denied based upon their race and based upon their centuries of subjugation. That that if they fought for it, they deserve it. And I think that's just like white people who fight for things and earn things. Black people deserve that opportunity as well. And I think that's, for me, that's what the story is in that.
mm, awesome. And where can people see this film after the SLO Film Fest?
I'm going to release it directly online. It was never meant to be a festival
Yeah.
movie. It was frankly, it was meant as a response to George Floyd, and
Mm-hmm.
well, actually, it was created during the who's the dog walking Karen, the
Oh,
bird watcher.
yes.
No, the dude was a bird watcher, and oh,
Amy
we all knew
Cooper.
her name,
Yeah,
Amy
yeah,
Cooper.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was actually, I mean, Amy Cooper and George Floyd happened kind of, I think, in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
But I had made this film as kind of like an Amy Cooper fuck you, and then uh, you know, and then George Floyd happened, and so I feel like this is kind of this is for people, I guess, for the public, and not, as an exclusive festival thing. So, uh,
Right.
so I don't know. It's gonna be released online soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fabulous. It'll be great to have more people see it. And certainly I think it's interesting with George Floyd and Amy Cooper, because here we definitely had a protest movement in San Luis Obispo that surprised, I think, a lot of the mainstream
Okay.
community, and thinking like, well, those problems don't really exist here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thinking that is the problem.
yes, yes, yeah. So there's a fairy tale that you know, since
Yeah.
there's not that many black folks, there's not anti-blackness, or it's a
Yeah.
kind of off math equation there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's with this film and with the Amy Cooper incident, like that's something that definitely could happen in San Luis Obispo,
Yeah.
and probably has, in terms of there being not that many black folks, and oftentimes in white spaces, and feeling, conspicuous, and so that's why this was a great fit to show our community, and for our community to see this
Thank you.
conversation as well. Are there any other takeaways you want folks to get from this?
No, I want folks to have a vigorous debate about whose house is it, and why
Yes.
you immediately assume it's one person's house over someone else's. So I
Yeah.
think that that's important, an important conversation.
Yeah. What was your favorite scene to film?
Um, the person that I performed with in it, his name is Grantham Coleman. He was my I was a mentor to him when he just graduated from Juilliard. This is now a million years ago. He's now a big Broadway actor and stuff, but I was his mentor, and just doing almost every scene with Grantham was so it was lovely to kind of be able to perform with him. So I'd say the first scene, the door scene, when we were sitting at the door, was fun. And then of course trying to open that box, we just turned the
Oh
camera
God.
on, and we just turned the camera on, and just let me go to town on it for like 10 minutes, and then that's what resulted.
Oh my gosh. And I love the moment with the mask.
Oh, the masks were. I do want to give a shout out. The
Yeah.
masks were borrowed from my mentor. Actually, is a man named Ken Whittingham, who's a big TV director
Hmm.
out here, and he is one of the most successful Black comedy directors, kind of in television. And Ken and his wife live right around the corner. We moved to Pasadena right around the corner from them. And I called his wife one day, and I was just like, I need every mask in your house. She collects them.
Yeah.
And she didn't even ask me why. She just was like, come and get them.
Yeah.
So all of them are from Loretta Whittingham. And I really appreciate it, because I really believe that those masks made the film, and I loved putting them on.
Yeah, yeah. In the moment when they just have that moment of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Black folks in white places, whether it's the head nod or the
The head nod, right?
yes. There are those moments of camaraderie that happen in our daily lives that I know many of us can relate to, and
I mean,
ending.
and I've had this conversation with my wife. I get offended if we are in a predominantly white place and I see a Black person and there is no head nod. I get very offended.
Yeah, it's a red flag for sure.
Right? No. But yes. But that was the idea. That was the point, that they shared a camaraderie at the end.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much to our sponsors again, BHE, American General Media, KSBY, And remember to vote, y'all. This is available, eligible for the Audience Award. Thank you so much, Keith. And this film will be available for the whole festival, free of charge, as part of our Shorts Fest, Diverse Voices. So we're happy about that. I was happy to program this part of the festival. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having the film. SLO is like my artistic home, so I really love
Oh, good.
it.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.